Okay, I think we're going to start now. So you'll need a phone and you'll need a paddle. There's going to be some QR codes to play Slido, so you can contribute. Hi, you can contribute and be part of the fun. What I'm going to do over the next 43 minutes is I'm going to walk you through the creative dividend, which is world-first research combining Effie's global case library. Yes, I have read all 1,300 global Effie case library studies. They are intense. I do not recommend it. And we've combined it with System 1's creative data. And it's essentially a playbook for modern marketing effectiveness. And for the first time, we've turned it into a game show. Whoa! Never done this before. This is kind of like when you go to a stand-up, you'll need a paddle. Everyone, you there, don't look away from me. You'll need a paddle. Okay. It's kind of like when a stand-up comic, has a crowd of 30 and is going to try out his new shit. That's what this is going to be like. We're going to find out who the smartest strategist in the room is. You need to remember how many you get right. Be honest. Okay, be honest. Okay, how does that all sound? Good, okay. Right. So, first of all, what data am I using? We're using data from the FE case library and System 1's creative data, global creative data. Has anyone won an FE in the room? Oh, yes, that doesn't count as a point, sir. But okay, we've got a few winners in the room. Let's talk through what this data is. System 1 is the creative effectiveness platform. What we do is we measure the emotional response to advertising and the brand response. Okay, and then the brand response, and we use it to predict how that ad will perform in market. We test every UK and US TV ad with millions of people. We've now tested hundreds of thousands of these things. We understand why people feel the way they do, what emotion they feel, what memories ads build, whether they're right brain or left brain, which we'll get into. And we can do this in early stage testing. That was very much exit through the gift shop. I apologize. So we've combined that data to the global FE case library data. So we've literally taken 1,250 cases from UK, US, Ireland, and Europe. I hired a team of 5 people to read them all, to analyze what marketing actually does in market. So what we've done is we've got the System 1 creative testing data, and we've matched it to the FE data to understand how creativity performs in market. I'll walk you through what kind of effects a campaign can create. We've got the shit your CFO will care about. We've got the stuff you guys must focus on, and we've got the stuff you're wasting your time on. We've got business results. We can understand how an FE case library, how an FE campaign submitted to FE created business results. That's actually stuff you can report to the market. We've got marketing brand effects. This is the stuff that tracks consumer behavior change, which will lead to that. And this is a colossal waste of time. Short-term objectives. We can have a look at what campaigns had short-term objectives, clicks, impressions, conversions, that kind of stuff. Now, why is this important? And here's your tip for ever winning another FE. The more business results we found in the FE case library, the more share gain and profit created by that campaign. So this stuff is what we should really focus on. Dramatically different. Short-term campaign objectives, clicks, impressions, conversions, etc. Have the exact opposite effect. The more short-term objectives your campaigns have, the less likely they are to lead to share gain, and the less likely they are to lead to profit. Dramatically different, as I said, to these business results that we should all be planning towards. Has anyone read The Long and Short of It before by Les and Peter? Amazing. I ripped it up. That's another yes. It does not count. The game has not started. I ripped all those business results off of them. And we can see, again, on this global FE data, not just UK data, that they work really well. Now, you've all been very naughty strategists, very naughty marketers. Let me explain. We keep spending more and more on advertising. The very clever in the room will point out, but what about inflation? Even when you account for inflation, global advertising spend has gone up 30%. And now we enter our first game part of the afternoon. Ad spend has gone up 30%. I'd like you to choose whether you agree with advertising has got more effective. Are we doing more with our advertising despite spending more on it, or are we doing less? A clear show of paddles. Oh, we've got a sea of no's. I've got a few. You're going to have to make a choice. Am I going too quick? I'm sorry. I've got too many slides. So it's yes or no. Advertising got more effective. Show of paddles. Okay. It's no, sadly. The yeses in the room. You're right. We have got less effective. How do I prove this? Well, if you actually look at the average number of brand building effects in the FEK cyber globally, these have been going down. We're seeing less and less brand building effects generated by global campaigns. We're spending 30% less, and we're getting 30% less brand growth. Tomorrow, this is embargoed, so I'll lie if anyone says this before tomorrow. Les Burnett will share very similar data with the IPA at the IPA Effectiveness Conference in London. The wheels are coming off marketing. We've chased short-termism and brand building is going down. Now, if you take out your phones and scan this Slido, I've never done this before. I was told to prepare a workshop. I'm trying my best. I'd like you to all submit one reason why brand building is going to the tits. One reason each. There's no way of me tracking who's doing this. Again, there's a lot of trust in the room today. We've got one. Short-termism. What a great answer. Who did that one? Oh, I like you, sir. I like you. Folks, short-term results, Donald Trump. We're going to skip over that one. Don't look at this one. We're all friends here. We're all friends. Too rational, CMO, CFO relationships, great. Short-termism, wrong focus, emphasis on performance, yep. Okay, focus on product education. Yeah, rational. Yes, okay, so we've got short-termism. We've got advertising going more rational. Did anyone say anything about our media choices and attention? Yes, that's also one. No ESOV. Wow, okay. I'm writing something on ESOV at the moment. I like this person. It's harder to track ESOV these days, isn't it, with the walled gardens, but it's still a principle that holds true. Right, let me walk you through why we're seeing brand building collapse, and we'll play more of our paddle game. We ourselves are better at explaining effectiveness principles. I agree. I don't come to America often, but I get very confused when I'm here. We all talk very different languages. And a little bit sad, but just more confused. Okay, so let me take you through. Who knows this guy? Orlando Wood, we have a fan in the room. Yes, Josh. Orlando Wood would say that advertising has become more left-brained. Whoever came up with the answer about rational product benefits, this is the wanky version of explaining that, I guess. Has anyone read Lemon and Lookout? Orlando's books. If anyone would like to, I'll personally mail you 2 copies. Just let me know, or LinkedIn me, I'll send you them. Basically, Orlando's done a lot of research showing that the hemispheres of our brains don't do different things, but they do things differently. Our left hemisphere is very goal-orientated. That's for those in the buying mode. Our right hemisphere has a very broad human vigilant focus on the world. And he explains that this is how advertising works. That creative, full of these right brain features that don't assume our interests. You know, a sense of place, character, entertainment, story, people touching. These attract our broad attention, so work on everyone. Dramatically different to these left brain features that assume attention. Now, I'm already boring myself, so I have a very hard task every year. I get locked in a room in New York for 2 days, and I have to watch every Super Bowl ad and analyze them. And I noticed this alive and well, these 2 schools of advertising. Let me show you one example.
Sorry, party's canceled. Waiting on the cable internet guy.
Tell him, Zach.
First, I had cable, but those cords weren't me. I needed to find new Wi-Fi. And he cried.
I didn't cry.
So he switched to T-Mobile, home internet with 5G. It runs on their network. Just plug it in and you'll see what a feeling. I have Wi-Fi now. Can't stop streaming. Have some wasted child. I need home internet from T-Mobile to fulfill my life.
Yeah, what's up?
We have T-Mobile now.
Party's back on.
Do it again with your shirt off. You guys are fine.
Let's have a look at a different way of advertising Wi-Fi in the same ad break.
Spectrum Internet delivers with fast and reliable speeds nationwide. So there's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum.
These are two ads in the
Now
Super
get
Bowl.
Spectrum Internet for $49.99
These guys
a month.
assume you want to
Plus
buy
advanced
Wi-Fi so much
and
they
a
give you a
Spectrum
website,
Mobile
a phone,
unlimited line
and a
free for
QR
12
code.
months. Visit Spectrum.com or call 844-242-1479. Spectrum.
Okay, we get the picture, hey? This ad doesn't assume our interest, it earns it through broad being creative features. This ad assumes our interest. This ad will work on the 5% of people who want to buy Wi-Fi today. This ad will work on the 95% of people that might build Wi-Fi in the future. So, let's go to our next question. Do we think advertising's become less... I need to get this right, don't I? So, advertising... Do you agree that advertising has got less entertaining? Gonna need an answer. There you go. No, okay, a few mixes. Okay, sadly, the yeses are right. We hired an intern, and he had to watch every ad break in every Coronation Street soap in the UK since the 90s. I suspect this is when he went on a fag break. And we've actually proven, and we see this time and time again in loads of different markets, that advertising is getting less and less entertaining, with less and less showmanship features, and more rational. And what this actually looks like when we combine the FEK slide, which is System 1's testing, is that the average emotional response to advertising is also going down. Advertising is being less able to build brand, and it's getting less and less emotional. The wheels are coming off advertising. Right, paddles up. Speaking of emotion, a specific emotional reaction is humor. Has advertising got less funny? I think you're just doing this to wind me up. Do you really think it's not got? You think it's got more funny advertising, sir? You do? Okay. Okay. We can talk over a beer afterwards, maybe. Okay. I'm sorry. Can't agree. I agree. I'm being general. I'm generalistic. We've tested hundreds of thousands of ads at System 1, and we can actually see since I also didn't share a date. You could argue that since 2019 in America, things have got funnier slightly. True. Generally, advertising has got less humorous. America, weirdly, so congrats in the room, we're seeing almost like a return to humor in America. And you can actually see that these are negatively correlated, these lines, with pride. Yeah. You're right. Okay, you get a point. You all get a point. So these are negatively correlated with pride. So as purpose goes up, humor goes down is what we essentially see in advertising globally. And humor is a very good thing at building long-term brand effects. Another reason why we're seeing brand building go down is where I live. I'm not from here. I'm from Manchester. We have a picture of Piccadilly Circus here, before and after. We're seeing a move from analog to digital, and with that comes ad stock. You see there's mad facts on LinkedIn that we see 10,000 ads a day these days. That's largely bollocks and made up. So I actually sat down and did the maths. Back then we probably saw 600. Now we see about 1.2 thousand ads a day. But our attention levels as human beings hasn't changed. So essentially, our attention is divided in half between more and more ads. That is going to have a dramatic impact on how advertising works. There's a lot of answers for short-termism. I'm very sad, so every night before I go to bed, I have a little diary, and I write down Meta's global ad revenue. My boyfriend keeps threatening to leave me because of it. but it's very useful. Look at this chart. We can see Meta's global ad revenue has boomed in this time, a really good measure of digital ad spend, and with it, very closely correlated data is a number of short-term objectives reported by the campaigns in the global FE case library. I'm not blaming Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not a fool, but digital media has allowed us to become more short-term focused. And very new data from Newsworks in the UK this week. They actually looked at whether, it's the next question. They actually looked at the spend between high attention media and low attention media. So, not just slam dunking on digital, but actually looking at high attention media, the proportion of our spend, that's TV, cinema, radio, magazines, etc., versus low attention, out of home, social, pure play, direct mail, this kind of stuff. Next question. Do you think we're spending more than 50% in 2025 on high attention media still? So are we spending more on high attention media? More than 50% would be my question. It's judo flipped. So everyone's right apart from you two, sir. You're probably going to prove me wrong in some way. We've flipped. We're lost at sea without a rudder, grasping at the little things, the short-term choices, and it only becomes evident when you take a step back and look at the past 10 years, just how far we've come. Of course this is going to have an impact on effectiveness. We're spending the exact opposite on high attention media, and we're expecting to do things in little nudges. That was my question. I got my animation wrong. Ignore that. So, does brand building still matter, or is the era of brand building dead? Do we even care that brand building is going down? Let's ask Scott Galloway.
The sun has passed midday on traditional brand. Don Draper's been drawn and quartered. This notion you can have a mediocre product and instill it with great emotion and just sell a lot of it, that's done. That's over. If you have a truly better product, people will talk about it online and word will get out. So a lot of the capital has been taken out of marketing and is being reinvested in things like supply chain. Can I get you something within 48 hours for free? What do the companies that have added over $100 billion in value in the last decade have in common? They don't advertise. And so the CMOs and marketers, we all love to be nostalgic and say, oh, advertising's coming back, and we give each other awards. Every day there's less and less oxygen in the room.
Did James Herman talk about this before I got here? Yeah, he's got a brilliant takedown of this, hey? So this is my boss's podcast, very popular, Uncensored CMO. Please subscribe. It pays the bills. So how do we prove Scott Galloway wrong? I love James's take that he actually went and found the top 10 spenders in advertising and proved they spend loads in advertising. I'll go slightly differently. I'll split the FE campaigns into those that did create brand effects and didn't create brand effects. This pink line is all the campaigns in the bottom quartile of brand building. That's that awareness, differentiation, trust building metrics we talked about. The gold is the top quartile of brand building campaigns, and we're looking at the business results they create over time. That's the profit, revenue gain, market share gain. There's two things to notice here. If you create brand effects, you create creative and choose media that builds salience, awareness, trust, differentiation, distinctiveness. You will always create more business results. That's my WhatsApp. And then also what you need to know is that brand building compounds business effects over time. That if you have a brand building campaign and you run with it, you keep making more and more profit. Now, this is my favorite chart that I've ever made, and tomorrow you're going to see some results coming out of the IPA, which make this even tastier, which I really can't talk about. But have a look tomorrow on the internet, on LinkedIn. So what I've done is I've split the FE case library by what touch points they use, so media touch points, and we can see here on the x-axis, that's the one line down, that if a touch point is over here, they're really good at building future demand because we're looking at the average number of brand effects that a touch point can create as part of a campaign. On the x-axis. On the y-axis, we can look at the short of it and how media choices impact short-term results. So we can actually map media choices via this huge data set from FE with lots of American data at how good these touch points are at driving short-term results and long-term results. We're going to play my favorite game. I'll show you an example. I'm going to guess where contests and promos sit on this chart. I'll explain it. It sits here because the average campaign that has a contest or promo in it creates 85%. 85% of them drive short-term revenue, but if you put a contest or promo in a campaign, it's damaging your brand because you're trading value, so it's really shit at brand building. Do we understand the game, or do we need another example? We do? Okay, who's brave enough to come point at cinema on this chart? You'll get 5 points if you get it right. You, sir, do you want to come point? I was going to bring post-it notes, but I ended up in the pub yesterday and I got busy. Where do you think? Around here? Okay. Very close. Very close, sir. So really good at brand building cinema, very broad, not very broad reach. You sit with it for a while with a lot of people. It's a shared experience, but it's not that broad reach and it's rather expensive, so it's very bad at driving short-term results. Sir, you get 2 points. Well done. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's keep the game show going. Who is brave enough to come point at TV on this chart? Because TV is dead, right? Why would I even bother putting it on this chart? TV is dead. Who would like to come point? Mate, you want to come point. Come on. Come on. I'm now calling on people like a teacher. Less game show, more teacher. Okay, you're going to point at TV. Okay. You're pretty close. You get 2 points, sir. Give him a round of applause. Oh, what, am I doing this? My gosh, it's tough. You guys are tough work. That was probably my fault somehow. Oh, I don't want to ruin it. We're doing so good. Oh, there we go. Oh, it kind of ruins it a bit. Don't look. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Don't look at this. It's going to go for a second. My God. Oh, okay. All right. We're at contest. We're at cinema. We did TV. 2 points. You'll notice, I actually thought when I made this chart that TV would be up here. But there's a really nice, or not nice, a negative correlation between how good a channel is at building brand effects and how bad it is at building short-term demand. TV is very good at brand effects, and it's not that good at creating short-term demand. Unlike paid click, paid general SEO, that is way better than TV at converting demand. Okay, who wants to come point at my favorite? Who can guess my favorite channel? Social. Oh no, no. I think that sits somewhere. Huh? Outdoor. There's one of them. I work. Another. Radio. Yes, mate. Come point at radio, and I'll explain why it's my favorite channel. Not because I've only got a face for radio. Yes. Oh my God. Have you read this chart? You have, haven't you? You get 2 points. Round of applause. Radio is a dual action medium. It's cheap as hell than TV, so it's better at driving those results, but it's as broad reach and as emotional. And now we'll finish up with a very controversial one, which my column's on tomorrow. Creators. This is the first study that was able to isolate creators as a media channel. WPP are releasing some new research tomorrow morning looking at creators as a media channel within econometrics for the very first time. It agrees with this chart, which I'm very happy about. Can someone come point at, who's not seen this chart before, can someone come point at creators on this chart for me? You want to do it, sir? Yeah? Oh, really? Where do you work? You're anti-creator, are you? I agree. Yeah. So I agree the creative is shit within creators. I agree, because it's not made by marketers. It's made by random people off the street. Who'd have thought that? So you think here, does anyone want to come have an alternative point of view? Anyone? You, sir. Let's make friends. Come on, come point at the chart. Because it's head-to-head, you're going to get 4 points. Okay, opposite, really. Yeah, go on.
Because the
pushing it that way. Yeah, completely.
But they're also literally selling you a product.
Yeah, good point. Okay. We're not going to make friends now. I've had the effect. They're all the way down here. Yeah, which I was shocked at, and I was nervous at releasing this chart, but I promise you there's econometric data coming out tomorrow which will back this up. TV was pissed off at this because TV have become second in something. They've come second in something. Radio was just happy to be on a chart. Creators are the strongest brand builders. You know what? I encourage you to read my column tomorrow, but why is it? Because you've got that emotional appeal, and they understand the channel, but as you said, the creative is so crap. We wrote a study on this, me and Josh at the back, with TikTok called The Long and the Short Form of It, proving it. There's a huge opportunity for strategists like you guys to take your brand building chops and apply them to creators. Big ideas consistently executed in a distinct way. I used to run Johnny Walker in the UK. I used to pay creators just to do what the hell they wanted, and at the end they might have a glass of scotch by the time no one was even watching. The creative quality is so bad. There's a huge opportunity for you guys. All right, here's the full chart. Bask in its glory. What I want you to look at is the legally safe pink superhero, super touch points. As I said, there's a negative relationship between how good a brand building channel is and how good it is at converting demand. The touch points above this line, above the trend, are doing more work than they should be. Does that make sense? I want you to notice one thing, that all the channels above this line are traditional channels apart from creators. I think creators might actually be the guiding beacon in this digital sinkhole that our industry might find ourselves in. Okay, what we got next? Okay, well, I'm now going to quickly go into how to actually grow these brand and business results, not through touchpoint choices, but through something else. Has anyone seen this chart before? Yes. We got some super fans at the front. Yeesh. And then Paul Dyson updated it in 2023, and he also updated it again. Paul Dyson works at Accelero. What he does is he looks at all these factors, target audience, media choices, creative quality, brand size, and he controls for all of them, and then looks at the variance in ROI. Let me give you an example. Once you control for all of Aldi's amazing cases and look at the revenue ROI, apart from creativity 3x's Aldi's profit. When you look at thousands of brands over many years, you actually find that creative choices can actually 12x your profit, which makes it the second biggest profit driver after brand size. The issue with this research is that no one's ever told you how to get a 12. I've sold a lot of research with these charts, creative testing research, get a 12. No one's ever explained how do I get a 12. That's what the creative dividend is all about. We've found 5 ways that you can multiply your profit. And we've got emotion, brand codes, the cost of dull, entertainment, and then we've got compound creativity, which I'm going to finish on today for you. It's a playbook for how consistency grows brands. Let me walk you through emotion very quickly to show you how this works. So actually, we've matched all the FEK library studies to the System 1 data, and we can see that campaigns that get a higher emotional score create more brand effects and more business results. But one thing people don't tell you about emotion is that it works harder over time. If you have an emotional idea, an emotional asset, and you put it to work for longer, it keeps paying back. When was the last time you worked on a campaign that lasted 2 years? I don't see many of them these days. It's kind of 3 months campaigns or Halloween campaign, or what about our Pinterest campaign? Campaign seems to kind of lost its meaning somewhat, hey? So let me explain to you what I mean by emotion and by playing you the most emotional Super Bowl ad of 2023.
Hola.
Maybe a different beer?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Okay, be right back.
I can't wait a moment more.
That's messy.
We're running out of time. Let me show you what not emotional means. Do you see that left and right brain thinking coming into it? How this one assumes you want a beer, where this one wants to entertain you. Very interesting, hey? So we look at this at system 1, and we can understand all the reasons why this creates more emotional appeal. But America, have I got time for this? Oh, go on then, I'll quickly show you. I've tested all the Cannes winning campaigns for emotional appeal. And because we test every UK and US TV ad, that distribution's in the dotted line there. A while ago, Cannes campaigns used to be more emotional. These days, Cannes campaigns are about as emotional as the average TV ad. So drastically different to Effie's, which actually lead to effectiveness. So we know emotion works, yet our industry seems to refuse to kind of award it. If we had more time, we'd go into a luxurious discussion between us about how purpose and short-termism is tearing our industry apart, but we don't have time for that. But I know you all, I'm preaching to the converted already, hey? So if you don't care about Cannes Lions, what should you care about? And that's winning an Effie. I actually looked at this data, and I can see that the higher Effie award you get, the more revenue and profit you create, the more brand and business effects you create, and the higher ROI. It's crazy what happens when you put strategists judging work, not random creatives. I'm being rude. I'm sure there's some creatives in the room. I need to get out of here. Why I wanted to share this with you is that Americans don't normally believe me when I say that emotion works in campaigns, because a lot of the data comes from the IPA, which is UK data. So this data from Effie, we actually able to split per market, and we can see that emotion, higher emotion, judged by our star rating, does lead to more business results in America. What I do want to point out is this little average number down here. My mate Mark Ritson is very mean and uses that data point to say American marketers don't know what they're doing. I disagree with Mark Ritson. I think you guys have a much harder job. In the UK and Ireland, we're all the same. We all say hi to each other walking down the street. We're all weirdly related. No, we're all very similar. In America, there's 52 different markets here. You creating a broadly emotional campaign is really hard. Much harder than the UK and Ireland. So that's why this average number is lower. However, notice how the business effects are lower than the other markets. So raising that number is crucial. Being more emotional is crucial. Now I'm going to skip over fluency because I believe you guys already know that you need to brand an ad, and I'm not going to ridicule this brand publicly. What I am going to show you is my playbook for consistency over the last 10 minutes, because it's what I'm known for. So cue very emotional video clip that I made in my underwear.
Why has Apple stuck to the same positioning and minimalist look for over 50 years? Why have Coca-Cola and M&M's run the same Christmas ads every year for 3 decades? Why don't we ever get bored of them? Why has Nike spent 35 years putting Just Do It on phones, TV screens and billboards? Why have Geico and PG Tips poured hundreds of millions into building brand characters? Why has Amazon built global teams just to make sure everything looks the same everywhere? And why has Guinness never left AMV BBDO?
I met that voiceover artist in a pub. He's very good, hey? Stirs the soul. Okay, so we talked about the 5 ways that you can use creativity to boost profit. We talked about emotion. I skipped over fluency. But the main one is consistency. I've been researching this for 3 years with Les Burnett, with the IPA data, with Mark Ritson. This is the biggest way that brands can grow. We've got 3 types of consistency. I call them these 3 things. For our last audience participation, we're going to try come up with a playbook ourselves in the room. So I split consistency, creative consistency, into creative foundations, a culture of consistency, and consistent execution. If you get your phones out quickly, you guys are going to give me a factor of a creatively consistent brand. So how can you judge how consistent a brand is? Give me some reasons. Give me some ways a brand can be consistent. And then we're going to walk through my playbook, which will 3x all your profit in all your campaigns. And you'll get carried through the streets of Cannes on gold. Number of DBAs, yes. A jingle, yet consistent use of DBAs and jingles. Any insurance ad? I don't think you got the question. Characters or mascots, yes. Keeping them. Tone of voice, someone's read the research. Same platform idea, yes. Consistent foundations, keeping the same idea going. When a brand shows up, brilliant. Motto, a slogan, similar feeling, brilliant. Consistent brand assets, yes. We're getting it. I think we've mined the audience for a load of free research data that I may plug into AI and use to target you with ads later. I'm kidding. I don't know how AI works. No one does. So creative foundations, guys. This is the first way your brand can be consistent. The same positioning, idea, and agency tenure for as long as possible. Bailey's is very good at this. They grew their revenue by 40% over 5 years by repositioning from a cream liqueur to an adult treat with the Don't Mind If I Baileys campaign and Mother. Very impressive. When you actually look at the IPA case library and judge a brand by these 3 ways of being consistent, they create more brand effects, more business results. It's all very impressive. Why does this work? It's because it's easier to refresh memory structures than to build new ones. So if you hammer the same associations again and again and again, you build more memory structures. You can actually see that a more consistent brand on their foundations is 7 times more likely to report differentiation growth in the IPA case library. Isn't that impressive? But the chart you all came for. How about consistent use of agency? Sticking with your agency for longer. It's true. The longer you stick with an agency, the more brand and business effects you report in the IPA case library. Sticking with an agency is a very good thing. You build skills, knowledge. You can execute long-term strategy. For Cannes, I looked at the exact opposite of this. I looked at whether a CMO sticking around for longer is a good thing. I found the exact opposite in the data. Womp womp to all CMOs in the room. The longer a CMO stays at a brand, the less brand and business results reported in the IPA case library, which is insane. And ruined my research because I thought I'd come up with a new code, CMO tenure. It ruined all the data, so we had to remove it. Why is this? I think there's not enough good CMOs. I think there's like 1 or 2 good CMOs, they do a good job, and then they get moved on and promoted to a bigger, better brand. I think is that. And the other reason, which I've never talked about publicly before, but I'm jet lagged and oversharing. I think a lot of CMOs are actually just PR mouthpieces these days. I worked at a very large FMCG. I never saw my CMO, but she was always in the news, cutting ribbons and stuff. So how relevant is a CMO role? Again, I'm going to upset a few people. Moving on to the second way you can be consistent, culture of consistency, leaning into wearing. Putting your same idea across channels, committing to being entertaining over time and reusing assets. If you judge a brand this way, how long we got? 4 minutes. They also report more brand and business results in the IPA case library. I'll send out this deck because I really have hammered you guys with it. If you don't believe me that creative wearing is not a thing, I've gone and looked at the top 80 UK TV spenders, how long they keep their ads on air for average, and how distinctive their work becomes year on year. The more you keep your ads on air, the more distinctive your brands become. Like my favorite brand, Yorkshire Tea, up here, that uses their ads on average for nearly 2 years, and they grow distinctiveness by 15% year on year. Insane. Well done, Yorkshire Tea. As opposed to these brands down here, which literally use their ads for a few weeks at a time on TV. Can you imagine how tiring that is, creating an ad every week? Madness. Only marketers get bored of ads. I have T-shirts. I'll be handing these out after. No, I don't. I need to make more. But it's cool, hey? All right, I'll skip over this one, and I'll give you the last slide, which is the last way you can be consistent. A lot of people got this. Keeping your execution the same. Brand assets, tone of voice, slogans, characters, product shape, soundtrack, People don't get bored of work. Familiarity actually makes people like it more. That's why when you split these brands in this study by how consistent they are into thirds and their emotional appeal to advertising, we can see the least consistent brands, people like their advertising less and less. It gets less emotional. Whereas the most consistent brands, based on this framework that I've just shared with you, actually, their ads get more and more emotional over time. These brands here are choosing a new product, tagline, color, character, I forgot my own shit, soundtrack, etc. They're starting again every year, and people don't recognize the work. These brands notice something's working and iterate on it each time, sticking to the same idea, keeping it interesting. We call it imaginative repetition. I have absolutely force-fed you guys research. I'll leave you on one final chart because consistency really is has a large place in my heart. The IPA send me all their all their brands and campaigns. I take this framework that I've built, those 3 ways of being consistent, and I judge them over 5 years. I send it back to the IPA, and then they send me this chart showing the percentage of each group consistent versus not consistent, and whether they report these different brand effects or not. So I don't make this chart, the IPA does. Consistency in this framework that I've developed selects for the winning brands always. You can be inconsistent and you might see results, but you're stacking the odds against you. We're all too busy. I recommend that you don't have a shower in the morning, you have a bath. You don't answer those emails. You clock off at 4 o'clock. You ignore your colleagues. You be a bit more lazy. You change less. You do less. Because laziness, consistency is how brands grow. We got there in the end. That was ambitious. I said it was an experimental session. If you think you've won the game, message me on LinkedIn and I'll send you a strategy survivor pack that I left in the airport. It was like a hold-all with like British beans in and stuff like this. If you think you've won the game, message me and we'll lace your palm with silver. That was really good fun. I'll be knocking around. Really nice to meet everyone. I hope that was useful.